Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about Democrats. 6 months ago, the economy was booming and Donald Trump was cruising to re-election. But Democrats weren't about to let that happen. After delivering all of the good news in his State of the Union address, Nancy Pelosi ripped up his speech in front of the whole country. This was one of the most despicable acts in U.S. political history, and the press cheered her on. Then on January 30th, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a global public health emergency. And on the following day, the United States declared coronavirus a public health emergency. President Trump issued an order to deny entry to foreigners who traveled to China within the past 2 weeks. President Trump also issued a 14-day quarantine rule for U.S. citizens entering the U.S. from China. Democrats responded by calling the president's travel ban from China xenophobic. And meanwhile, Governor Cuomo from New York issued an order requiring nursing homes in his state to take in sick COVID-19 patients. He also banned families from visiting the patients in the nursing homes on the basis that they might bring in COVID-19. So the governor was intentionally sending sick people into nursing homes at the same time he was banning families from coming in and seeing what he was doing. And the people he was sending into the nursing homes were sick with a disease which is known to kill old people. Let's look at the locations which have the highest COVID-19 death rates in the world. New York City leads by a wide margin, followed by New Jersey, New York State, Massachusetts, Connecticut, San Marino, Louisiana, Rhode Island, Belgium, the District of Columbia, Peru, Mississippi, Andorra, Michigan, Illinois, Spain, the United Kingdom, and Italy. Governor Cuomo created the highest death rate in the world in New York City, and Dr. Fauci held up New York as a model for fighting coronavirus. Dr. Fauci says New York did it correctly and they set an example for the rest of the country. But President Trump has a different opinion. He says Cuomo is a horrible governor. Crime is taking over New York City and state. Everyone is leaving. He's after the NRA. They should move to Texas or elsewhere and must get tough. Cuomo killed 11,000 people in nursing homes alone, crooked and incompetent. But what Cuomo did is actually much worse than what the president is saying. The Associated Press reports that New York is hiding nursing home deaths. The Associated Press reports that unlike every other state with major outbreaks, New York only counts residents who died on nursing home property. Compare the dishonesty of New York to my state of Wyoming. Yesterday, the state of Wyoming reported a coronavirus death for a man who was a Wyoming resident, but he died in a nursing home in Florida. Governor Cuomo is trying to cover up the massive body count he created by sending sick people into nursing homes, tens of thousands dead. And then Democrats have Cuomo speak at their national convention criticizing President Trump's coronavirus response. It's difficult to understand how any people could be as disgusting and cynical as the Democratic Party is being. Diamond and Silk tweeted that Governor Cuomo should be investigated and charged for the massive body count he created of older people. And then Governor Cuomo's propaganda machine kicked in, which includes his brother who works at CNN. Here's one example from Jerry Grimes, who says that Cuomo is one of the greatest leaders of our time. He saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Sorry, Jerry, Governor Cuomo did not save hundreds of thousands of lives. He did the exact opposite. He created the highest death rate in the world in New York City. Governor Cuomo had the opportunity to send the sick people to field hospitals instead of to nursing homes. But according to NPR, the U.S. field hospitals were not used, most without ever treating any COVID-19 patients. One of the options which Governor Cuomo had was to send the sick people to the Naval Hospital. And here's one of his propagandists trying to justify what Cuomo did with some complete gibberish. Naval Hospital was not for COVID because it didn't have negative pressure rooms. When elderly patients had COVID but were not sick enough to be admitted and did not have relatives willing to take them in, the CDC had regulations on which nursing homes could have them. What she seems to be saying is that the patients were too sick for the Naval Hospital, but it was okay to send them to nursing homes. It's difficult for me to understand how anybody can think that irrationally, but I guess that's what propaganda does to people's minds. So Governor Cuomo created a complete mess by infecting people in nursing homes, which led to thousands of people dying a day. This frightened lots of people and led to Democratic governors locking down their states and putting tens of millions of people out of work. And then, just when the economy was starting to recover, Democrats launched massive protests with tens of thousands of people. This created a second wave of cases, as seen here at the Texas Medical Center in Houston. And the second wave of infections became the basis for a second wave of lockdowns and for mandatory mask rules. Democrats have done everything they could since day one of President Trump's tenure in order to sabotage the economy, and their activities continue today. And then Cuomo shows up at the Democratic convention and criticizes President Trump for the massive damage which he and other Democratic governors created. The reality is that 9 of the 10 deadliest locations for COVID-19 in the U.S. are run by Democrats. By state, the highest death rates in the country are New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Louisiana, Rhode Island, the District of Columbia, Mississippi, Michigan, and Illinois. Of those 10 deadliest places, only Mississippi is governed by Republicans. And just when I thought Democrats couldn't possibly get any more cynical, look what's hot off the press. Crown Publishing. We're excited to share this new book from Governor Andrew Cuomo, American Crisis, Leadership Lessons from the COVID-19 Pandemic. We are truly living in an Orwellian world in 2020. If it weren't for the massive Democratic propaganda machine, many of these Democratic governors would be facing prosecution, not speaking at a convention. Toto keeps emphasizing how important it is for people to stop watching cable news. CNN, Fox News, they're all corrupting people's minds. We've only got a few weeks to take this country back, and we've got to stop listening to the propaganda. You can visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com.